Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Mike. It is Sunday, the 20th of July. This is your week ahead video. I'm not doing charts this week. I went through, started looking through, and I'm going, these all look the same to me. And the charts I did last week, I think, are still very viable here. Nothing has really changed. So, you can go back and look at some of the ones I posted last week, but we'll go over a lot here. We're going into a week where the earnings pick up, but there's not a ton of economic data. The Fed's in lockout, though Powell is speaking tomorrow at 8:30. Sorry, Tuesday at 8:30. So we'll have to see what that's about. We have Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations. We have PMI flash composite. None of these are really big movers. Durable goods on Friday morning. As we said, it's earnings, earnings, and earnings. NXPI after the close on Monday. You got Coke on Tuesday morning. Forgot to get that one in. You got GM in there as well. Tuesday night, Texas Instruments. Nothing really there. Wednesday morning, GE Verona, AT&T is in there, right? You got some names, but it's really Wednesday night that takes the cake and steals the show. Tesla, Google, ServiceNow, CMG, and IBM. I'll be staying late and trading those names. So, we'll hang in there together. Thursday morning, Blackstone, Honeywell, there's some bigger names. Intel Thursday night, be interesting if they have anything to say. Deckers Outdoors is in there. You guys get the idea. So where do I see this week going and what do I see being in play this week? Well, I think this is another week where tariffs are going to rule the headlines. And the president and what we're doing or not, we are less than 2 weeks now from the August 1st deadline, and time is ticking to that. So my overall feeling here on the market is it's feeling a little tired. It's not extended, it's not overheated. Please don't stop at anything like that. It's feeling a little tired. And it's kind of the action this week that makes you feel that. These when you gap up, these moves down. Friday's candle coming back off on the ES. It's probably in wait and see mode. It's going to want to see what happens with the tariffs and what happens with all the big earnings. The next 2 weeks, we're going to get a lot of huge names coming in. So, I think that's going to be the direction that helps turn us where it is. When we look at the ES, the NQ, which a lot of the names that we're going to be looking at are in there, sitting there also at all-time highs. Crude overall remains weak, coming back down. Bonds remain overall very weak, broke that uptrend and have been weak ever since. Gold, nothing going on here. Bitcoin trying to hold in, just stuck here after making all-time high. The VIX, not much going on there, remains elevated, but not doing anything. HYG continues to lag the markets. It was leading us, so that's so great. The transports kind of holding in, but not doing much. And the dollar off the lows, but still remains overall very weak. From a market sentiment perspective, some changes taking place here. So first of all, on the put to call, we have a very bulled up reading. So this is important to know because when you get a very bulled up reading, it also often means you're getting in for a sentiment hit, right? So, when market gets too bearish, we get a short squeeze. When market gets too bullish, well, you get a bull squeeze. You get the bulls, bulls squeezed out. And when the option market is saying that we're getting very bulled up like we are here, and that usually is a thing to watch out for. So we'll see if this plays out this week. Highs versus lows on the on the Nasdaq plus 268 versus 60 remains strong. Market breadth has paused on the Nasdaq and paused just off the all-time highs on the New York Stock Exchange. Your advanced decline lines have all flattened out here. Your highs versus lows on the S&P 500 plus 83 versus 15 still strong. Market breadth, negative 48 on the, I'm sorry, oscillator, on negative 48 on the New York Stock Exchange. We're on the negative side of neutral, and on the NASDAQ plus 14. So, we're pretty neutral sentiment here. We're a little bit hot on the put to call, but otherwise everything is just fine as we go into this week. On the S&P 500, you can see off the highs, come down. You have a little bit of reversal candle. We had one earlier this week, same type of candle, except this one wasn't as powerful as this one. Then we reversed the next day and shot back up. That was the whole Powell fiasco. Remember that? The market's waiting to see how this thing's going to play out and what's going on here, and we'll keep an eye on it. See if we hold the 8-day. If we hold the 8-day, everything's fine. The market remains very strong. If not, watch the 21-day, and then the 615 area are your big levels to watch for us to retain, momentum to the upside here. Speaking to the upside, the Bollinger Bands are starting to pinch in, but 630 and then up to the top of the Bollinger Bands at 635 area would be my next targets there. So we've had all the banks pretty much report, and the financials have held in okay. The reports weren't great, but it didn't matter. The banks have held in. The XLF just a stone's throw from all-time highs. JP Morgan looks best here. We got okay of the JP Morgan Citigroup. JP Morgan looks good above Friday's high. Could go back and hit the all-time high of 296.40. Citigroup has been on a rampage. This is at a multi-year high at 93.40. It dips to the 8-day that holds, should be buyable on that name. Goldman's not looking so strong. Morgan Stanley's looking weak. Bank of America is looking okay. You do have a gap here on this, so if it starts to push, keep an eye on that at 47.80 area. We can get a push up on that. So we'll keep an eye on some of these names that are there. But the banks, unclear what their next catalyst is going to be. Wells Fargo at the 8-day also sitting here with a gap here, trading starting at a roughly, let's call it 78.20 area. And, again, these are catalyst gaps, they like to fill it. So if the market comes after the banks, keep those two in mind. They got banks gaps to fill. Energy overall remains weak. Chevron completed the purchase of Hess, had a big down candle off of that. ExxonMobil, similar ugly candles. The energy market remains an area I'm just not interested in playing and staying away from. XPI and healthcare keeps getting rejected at the 200-day. Lilly got rejected at the 200-day a couple of weeks ago and hasn't been able to get back to it, and overall is weak. In general, this section, despite good earnings from J&J, remain weak, although J&J holding up, and that 166 area gets interesting if it gets back up to that. Oh, what else should we go to? Let's look around. Boeing had that nice big move, and then all week it's been going sideways. Can't break out yet into that 233.85 area. I've been keeping an eye on that. Cat has run like hard into earnings. Not sure what's going to happen there. Some trouble in retail. Costco is breaking down under the 200-day for 3 sessions now. That's starting to become problematic. Walmart also coming back down, can't get back above the 8-day. So retail names are showing some signs of distress here. Now, I'm not really interested in them at this point. Lulu remains weak as well. Nike, after that big pop, holding nicely, one of the few lone exceptions there. What else? Let's talk Netflix. Netflix earnings were okay. And I think that's how you have to look at it. Earnings were okay. Their guidance, as we talked about repeatedly, their guidance was based upon forex changes, their guide up, not on growth. They're stagnating here in the United States. So, you had a pretty good sized down candle from 1275 all the way down to 1275 bucks, and it's under the 50-day. And, it's worth noting here at this point, it's under the 50-day for the first time since last earnings. Okay. So where does it want to go now? And you have to come in and say, where can I find support? Well, you came into support and we bounced at 1200. That's a pretty big level. So if it holds 1200, reclaims the 50-day, it's probably just fine. If it cannot hold 1200 and it drops down, I would next be watching down here to this 1175 area to see if it holds there. Bottom line, looking a little tired here. Block XYZ had news after the close on Friday. They're going to replace Hess in the S&P 500. Interesting choice there. We'll see if this gets any momentum here. This one has been beaten up and weak and not looking too good. So this big gap sitting up here starts at 76.50. Right, so you come up here and you put it in, and this is what you do. Always go and analyze your charts, right, and put your alerts on stuff in place so you catch things. So we'll put this one on our list this week because it's up into that one. It's already gone through and filled almost all of that gap, right? It just shows you how powerful that was. So if it gaps up, it's going to leave this big island bottom and then room up to the 85 area and then maybe up to the 87.50. We'll kind of see how this goes. But we'll keep an eye on that one this week, right? So that's a different name there. Crypto names, some of these are starting to show some signs of being tired. Coin, huge move to an all-time high, and look at how it came off the highs and on Friday. That's a sign of a little bit of exhaustion. Same thing with Hood. These names have had big runs, showing some signs of exhaustion here. So be careful here. See if they hold the 8-day on a dip back. Speaking of a name waking up, a lot of the room was trading bull last week. Nice move here. It is down after hours because it didn't get in the S&P 500. I think that was an incredible long shot for that to get into the S&P 500, as it's only been on the New York Stock Exchange for 6 months now, and it's just it just hasn't been on that long. So that was just one of those things. What else we got going on out there? Palantir. Let's look at some software names as we're going to go in. Palantir hit new all-times high this week. Again, coming in, see if it holds the 8-day. That's been its strength. Still holding okay. Salesforce not acting spectacular, but holding in. Snow continues to kind of hover around here, filled that gap, and now has come back down, but overall nice move off the lows there. Going to big cap tech, Apple, this downtrend here, you can see a drawn here, cannot break above it, keeps coming in and getting rejected at it, sideways. It's getting tight. Yep. Could it break to the upside? It could. For me, let's watch over the 212 area to see if it can go and see if it can reconnect up here at that 216 area when they had their AI news. If not, we'll see what it wants to do. It might just want to hang around till earnings. Microsoft, a week and no, the earnings aren't until next week. All new all-time highs on Friday. The 8 days been your friend trend there, keeps holding. Amazon just can't quite wake up, but back up here above 227 and gets my attention. This name is waking up again. It's been trying here, still well off the all-time highs at 242. It just hasn't recovered with the markets. Same thing with Google, trying to break out on Friday, couldn't hold, well the breakout, but moving up. My next target would be to get up here, test this 190 area, then test that gap at 192.75. Earnings there on Wednesday. We'll see what they have to say. Meta has been weaker of late, had this nice move. It has lost the 21-day and the 8 day now. Had a nice little push back up to get green on Friday. We'll see if that holds. If not, watch the 50-day down here at 681. Needs to clear the 8 day to get going again at 710. Tesla is going to report. Had a nice candle on Friday. We traded this, that was a good one. Um, on Wednesday, forget the numbers. And I mean this. I hate saying that because it sounds stupid, but forget the numbers when nobody's expecting good numbers, maybe the numbers are better than expected. Remember, these numbers are numbers that have been reduced to be hit more easily, right? Analysts always do that. They take their numbers down, they remove, lower their guidance, their projections on it. It's really going to come all down to the conference call and what Musk says on there and how he is. He's going to get peppered if he lets him, and he'll answer them about politics and what he's doing and his party and all that. But most importantly, he needs to talk about the robo-taxi and rolling that out and how quickly before he could roll that out and actually make that meaningful part of money coming in, right? Can we not monetize that? And you're going to want to hear more about robotics. Probably going to be asked about buying XAI again. So just keep that in mind. Bottom line is we'll see how this plays out. The semis, we didn't save them for last. The SMH's new all-time highs on Friday pulled off a bit. Avgo is nice and strong, holds the 8 day. Nvidia is a couple weeks out from earnings yet, new all-time highs. It's just extended here. Watch to see if it holds that 8 day in that gap. If it doesn't, you could get a quick, cute little short down to the 165 area, even lower. AMD also, this is kind of not a good candle combination. Up, down, right? You have this coming in. Watch the 8 day. If it doesn't hold, it has a gap. You can get a nice little short all the way down to 147 on these. So the bottom line, guys, my thinking process as we go into this week is that the market feels a little tired. Feels like it's waiting and it wants to see. There's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines. It's looking for dips. It hasn't been getting them. Dips have been shallow, and that will probably continue be the case unless earnings are really bad or we get some bad tariff news. So with that said, thanks for listening. I'm putting this out for free. There's a link in the description below if you want to join us in our trading room tomorrow morning. We'd love to have you. Everybody have a wonderful Sunday, and I'll catch you guys bright and early in the AM.